Namaskar. Thank you for coming to attend this online lecture on a very important topic, a very least understood by the various dental surgeons. We are really confused regarding various terminologies used in legal assertions and ethics and topics related to jurisprudence. What are these essential ingredients of these important aspects of legal system? Today's program will try to counsel you on certain of these aspects. You know, malpractice claims which arise and have bad outcomes is due to lack of information on these important aspects. Let us start with the presentation today on this aspect of legal terminology. And what we are going to do is let us share this topic on ethics and jurisprudence and how the various boundaries are with each other. I'm Dr. Pradeep Jain, past president as well as the college. We all know a brown paper or as well as the principal. A brown through the postman, a notice received by us from any government agency. What does it arise? Our first instinct is we are taken aback, there is shock present. And what happens? Our first reaction is despair. Are you really prepared for it? You start feeling the pressure. Even if you are a final year resident, a graduate, a very senior personnel, a faculty member of a college, or specifically any institution, even a government body, they have the same response. We are fortunate that tort cases are very less in number due to lack of awareness, lack of consciousness, high cost of litigation, attitude of courts and administration. Earlier on, the concept was ubi remedium, ibi jus, meaning that where there is a remedy, there is a right. It means if there used to be a solution to a problem, that problem could lead to us to a legal right. If there was no solution to that particular problem, you are not supposed to have any legal right vested on you. But the concept has changed to ubi jus, ibi remedium. That is, where there is a right, there is a remedy. Suppose you go to the election polling booth, your name is there, but if you are not allowed to vote, that means your legal right has been infringed. So you had a right to vote, and now you have a remedy of seeking compensation from the election officer. The West is catching us, or we are catching West, that more of litigation cases are increasing day by day. They have increased, especially against the new graduates who have a very limited experience of practice. But anyone can be a victim. Handle all patients as if they are future troublemakers. When a patient tries to reach a dental office, they see the various names, references, and ask themselves, whom do we consult? What is the difference between one and the other dentist? They go to various websites, consult friends and colleagues, your previous patients, their experience, advertisements, yellow pages, and whatnot. And then they decide to come to a particular clinic and has an experience. And if you are able to satisfy the test, you need not worry. But if you fail to do so, we may be crossing limits and may face problems. If you fail to spot a patient or are not able to obtain a satisfactory treatment, your chances of having a claim made against you has increased chances. Maybe depending on your communication skill, academic qualification, quality of your records, office administration, and your direct exposure or the dissatisfaction will lead her to practice suits. The ethics of any dental practice requires that we are not cheating the patient by giving false advertisements, false qualification certificates, and highlighting the results which may not be very good. We should be very truthful to the patient. The transparency should be there regarding yourself, your qualifications, your office, and if you are going ahead with the various treatment outcomes, go with the fair result. The jurisprudence or legal dentistry is a very important chapter in law. Jurisprudence as such means jurisprudentia, which means the study, knowledge, or science of law. United States have changed this into a philosophy of law, but the latest aspects of legal system consist of it reveals the historical nature, the natural base, various concepts regarding tortious liability, criminal liability, ethical liabilities. All these are covered in the topic of jurisprudence. It is a sensitive topic, a very hot lecture in other parts of the world except India, but it is fundamental. It is becoming more important to our professional vitality. It elevates the awareness of issues and promotes your thinking process. But are we clear what tortious liability or a criminal liability if it arises? The basic difference is that torts is a civil wrong, redressable by action for unliquidated damages. The compensation can be claimed for that particular damage, and it has to be other than breach of trust or a contract. It's a private wrong. It's a private wrong and injury to the plaintiff, and therefore the plaintiff can file the suit himself. The criminal wrongs are serious breach and violation of public rights and duties recognized by criminal law. It is redressable by physical punishment, and generally the suit is got up. Of tort, there must be some act or omission on the part of the defendant. If it is a case between the patient and the doctor is the defendant and plaintiff is the patient. The act or omission should result in legal damage, that is, injury results in violation of legal right vested in the plaintiff. The two terminologies are important, that is the injuria sine damnum and damnum sine injuria. Now consider, if we go back to our example of election poll office where you have gone for casting vote, and if you are not allowed to vote, there is not actually a substantial damage to you in the form of monetary changes, business, or any kind of physical trauma to you. Maybe the mental injury has been caused. So there is a legal injury of a legal right being infringed against you, but there is no substantial damage. Suppose another of your colleague opens a clinic just adjacent to you. His practice starts to flourish. Now, there the monetary laws come to you, but this substantial loss does not give rise to the infringement of the legal right. Therefore, it is an example of damnum sine injuria. There may be various defenses against the tortious problems. The main important is that you always take the consent. And this defense of consent, or known as the voluntarily seeking that injury from your doctor. The plaintiff or the patient may be the wrongdoer. He himself has gone ahead with a contributory negligence or has not asserted or agreed or complied with the concept of instructions which has been given by the doctor. Inevitable accident can happen on a dental chair, on the patient's procedures. The act of God can always be there. Private defense, you had to do it because if it has not been done, it would have injured yourself. The mistake is an aspect which can occur with anybody. Just because the mistake has been committed because of involuntary act, it is a good defense or a necessity, or the statutory authority has forced that this particular action was needed. Tort and criminal law has certain aspects which are very similar, but you must understand that the degree of negligence has to be very, very high to bring in the criminal acts or provisions as compared to civil law. Another aspect is that the intention of causing that particular action, or what we call as the mens rea, should always exist when there is a charge of criminal case. The IPC has given us certain benefits and has placed different off from the different quarters. The IPC sets out the section 82 of the code, which provides exemption for acts not intended to cause death done by the consent in good faith for the benefit of the patient. The section 92 of the IPC provides for the exemption from acts done in good faith for the benefits of a person, even if you have not taken the consent and may have harmed the person. Section 93 saves us from the criminality certain communication made in good faith. But this has to be proved by the defense that the doctor acted in good faith and for the benefit of the patient. Though any doctor can be punished under section 304A of the IPC death by negligent or rash act. Say in a case where death of the patient is caused during operation by a doctor who may not have been registered in the medical council, not qualified to operate, does not possess the specific qualification to conduct that particular operation, or the damage is done by the unregistered, unqualified practitioner. So the three instances of crime is mens rea or the intention. The intentional negligence which has occurred, it could be due to quackery in registration. Quackery could be due to not possessing a degree in a particular aspect of medicine, or they may be having a degree in alternative medicine but do not have a degree in allopathic medicine. The dentist may also be considered as quacks if they are not registered anywhere in the dental council, the state dental councils of the various parts of the, or they do not have a degree at all, they are liable for criminal prosecution. A bogus doctors detection committee under district collector is constituted to curb the menace. This is a roadside photographs of various dentists still working. We have a station, a railway station very near. We have this quack practicing or unqualified dentist practicing, still working on the patients. A person who does not have any knowledge of a particular system of medicine but practices in that system is a quack. And a mere pretender to medical knowledge of a skill, or to put differently, a charlatan. This has been laid down in the case of Dr. Mukhtiar was the state of Punjab and others. Now to the relevant topic of ethics. What really is ethics? It is the science of moral values, which are enunciated by a recognized association, collectively called as Code of Ethics. And if you are not following these codes in your professional conduct, it amounts to what is known as the professional misconduct. The ethics may consist of very important aspects of fidelity, autonomy, honesty, reparation, beneficence, and non-maleficence. Fidelity is keeping one's promises. The dental faithful and true their professional promises and responsibilities by providing a good quality and safe environment. Role fidelity forms the basis for the ethical system known as the virtual ethics. All persons have a right of privacy, and they can decide whether they want to go for that particular surgery or procedure which is being done by the dental surgeon. If he accepts, then he has allowed the work to be done on himself or herself. And it is the acceptance of responsibility. Suppose a patient requires a specific type of orthodontic surgery in a class 3 malocclusion or a class 3 skeletal problem, but patient refuses to go for a surgery, wants to go for a camouflage treatment, then you have to go for the compromise of that particular treatment. But this informed refusal should always be recorded in your case sheet. You have caused this action by intentionally doing a procedure which has inflicted that harm on that patient. Your concept should be, above all, do no harm. Beneficence is a good health and welfare of the patient. It is for the benefit of the patient. The actions are moral as it enhances the welfare of the society. Sometimes, in case of children especially, or because of the emergency conditions, in contrast to autonomy, there are certain reasons by which we attempt to force treatment on a particular patient, even he may not be wanting. In all professions, these are respecting the various rights, safety, and welfare of other persons, and any form of harassment related to sexual orientation, race, color, religion, age, gender, natural origin, disability, or medical condition will all be considered as unethical practices. The Code of Ethics have laid down the various relationships amongst the professionals themselves, the profession, and the public in general. The staff has also come into picture nowadays, including the social media and the relationship of public in general. This is the Code of Ethics laid down for the Medical Council. We have the similar code of ethics for the dental council also. Lately, the commercial aspects have come up. It is said the doctors and the dental surgeons have become commercially minded, and they think how much money they can generate from the patient, specifically related to how much or how could they give the best results or best care facilities to our patients. This is a very good example where the hospitals sometimes refuses to treat treatment because of the commercial angle, or the insurance has come up and various kind of cases have come up so that more of insurance can be taken for the particular problems. Example is a dentist may be ethically correct to treat a case of crossbite, but the charges on the case sheet shows that he has charged for the space maintenance, which was covered in an insurance program. Do you think this is a legal practice, or it is really a fraud on the patient, or it has been committed because of helping that patient? It is the fraud on the legal system. Every society depends on ethical norms and trained conduct. For most forms of conduct, the norms are far more important than legal constraints. The law prescribes minimalist standards of conduct. One can act legally and still not act ethically. Various aspects of ethics into cheating, advertisements, publishing of literature, introduction of dental materials, continuing dental programs, or treatment which is not particularly required for that particular case. Various dental colleges have been tainted by the requirements or the mandatory requirements of the Dental Council of India. The colleges have been shut down because of certain reasons. And there may be cases of cheating related to these institutions. The short programs, especially in orthodontics and endodontics, which gives or tries to force the patients to understand as if the treatment can be done in a single day. It is like cheating in the sports activities that we are conducting various kind of cheating processes in our profession. Now take this example, wherein a patient reported with a class 3 malocclusion, and just we had the Pitt and Fisher sealants to be incorporated for the correction of Pitt and Fisher caries. The occlusion and aesthetics were normal, masticatory efficiency was good, and there was no enamel or dental dysplasia. But what was done? All the teeth were reduced, and this was corrected by giving the crowns in upper and lower segments. Is it a right treatment, or is it a case of cheating, or is it for the commercial and the financial requirements of that particular clinic? Or there are various materials which are coming up which has not been researched but commercially advertised. You may lead to yourself advertise journals which are the magazines which are coming for the commercial purpose, giving a false information about the dentistry, or not at all related to the advertisement, giving us again a false picture of the dentistry. In recent years, especially the Indian population was subjected to desperate volunteers, and various clinical trials were conducted for various kinds of medicines and materials. And this led to the problems, and now this has been regulated by the ethical practices. But still, there is faith in doctors, and especially during the time of coronavirus, we know that the corona warriors have been on the front load taking measures by these doctors, nursing staff, and technical staff. They have fought the coronavirus to the best of their abilities. And we know a blurred line between the cover and the peer-reviewed articles. We must always have faith on the peer-reviewed journals instead of the commercial journals. Each customer or patient desires a connection with the doctor or institution with whom they interact, so that the outcome is a compelling experience that transcends more transactions. They want a trust. They want to feel as if you care for them as much as they care for their dependents. They want to do business with you. They can advocate and recommend to their friends with a great passion. And deeper the connection, deeper, and we are sometimes not bothered regarding our old patients and always connect with the new patient. That is the losing of connection, that important royalty of the old patients, it could prove fatal. All the clinics should be very well equipped, and the procedures which are done should be the best possible available. Take this case where 28-year female presented for the treatment. It was an ortho treatment in a polydental clinic and had certain perio problems related to it. The aspect was that the clinic was owned by the doctor. Another doctor started the treatment, continued for 3 months, and later on taken by the third doctor. The standard of the clinic as such, except that the practice environment, the staff, follow-up activity, and record keeping was done by the clinic. And therefore, various doctors were working on a single patient. The problem was the braces were placed on that particular doctor, but there was a perio problem, which though recorded on the case sheet, and the patient was referred to a periodontist. The patient did not pay heed to the doctor's advice and did not go to that particular periodontist. He came for three, and then because of the visiting practice which is generally available. He also referred the case to a general dentist for cleaning and perio examination, but the patient again failed to comply. The treatment continued as such. During the treatment, when 20 months had elapsed, the second doctor told the patient about her perio as well as the bone condition. Now the patient had complied with the referral and was diagnosed as the loss of bone as well as the loss of teeth. Patient went to the legal advice and filed the suit against all the three persons. Patient denied informed consent, and though diagnosed as class 2 skeletal, the surgery was fine, but there were advice of implants, bone grafting, various surgeries, and as such, the damages were claimed. The doctor did not have any evidence to show what they had suggested to the patient, causing the extensive damage to the teeth. The courts were sympathetic to the patient, and with a very capable plaintiff lawyer, the vicarious liability was vested on the doctor who owned the clinic, and the other two doctors were also fined according to the problem. So during visiting practices, we have to be very careful that we consider the basic tenets of dentistry. The malpractice suit to an orthodontist results to an act or an omission which causes injury as a result of a treatment incident. It could be any orthodontic practice or a dental practice. The most important aspect in kind of malpractice suits of the negligence suit is the standard of care which is available in that particular community or in that area. It is how a similarly qualified practitioner would have managed the patient's care under the similar circumstances. The dental malpractice plaintiff have to establish that the appropriate standard of care was not taken care of and demonstrate that the standard of care has been breached. A CBCT was installed in a particular clinic. This case was reported in AGO 2007, when the CBCT has just started to approach. A periodontist or a general dentist doing orthodontics, is it a standard care to go for these kind of procedures? As a orthodontist or the CBCT, and then read your own CBCT in your clinics? Should you take CBCT for others? Is there any disclaimer that can reduce your liability? And what type of informed consent was taken from the patient? The problem which arose was that during that CBCT, which was taken for that particular patient, there was vision which was available or seen in that particular scan. The scan showed the tumor which has just started. It developed in 3 years' time to a full-fledged tumor or a malignant tumor. What is the role of that particular dentist who had scanned these images, read the images, but was not able informative about that particular tumor which was arising? So, patient dose point of view, the routine use of CBCT is not required. Further studies should address whether the diagnostic value of CBCT justifies the higher dose, and are you documenting your findings which have come up in the scan, and are you providing the informed refusal for particular treatment. Negligence means wants a reasonable degree of care and skill or willful negligence on the part of a dentist in course of his professional relation with the patient, leading to legal injury. From the very nature of the doctor-patient relationship, the duty of care is almost currently assumed to be present in any medical negligence case. 3 concepts are again there. The doctor owed duty of care to the plaintiff within the scope of the standard of care. He made a breach of that particular duty, and the plaintiff or the patient suffered an injury as a consequence thereof. And if the intention of the mens rea is proved in related to this negligent aspect, this becomes a criminal negligence. A single failure of such cost him his career. General notice could jeopardize simply because a patient has not favorably responded to a treatment given by a physician or a surgery has failed. The doctor cannot be held liable per se. Person's body is sacred. Consent is essential. More importantly, for a dental surgeon, informed refusal to extractions, surgery, CT scans have assumed significance. The report should be accurate, unalterable, procedural explanations noted down with models, radiographs, and photographs. The electronic records in original also should be in the office. We are all stressed if a malpractice suit comes, and we should be wary of the people who are incommunicative and do not trust you. Care and trust are the best defenses against any malpractice. Crime becomes a very serious breach and violation of public rights and duties recognized by the criminal law. When a dentist performs an act without taking consent, may give rise to a tort of battery, and if it is performed by quack, it results into a criminal act. Language, it is a person's right to self-determination or autonomy by giving permission to someone to something for him or her on her bodies. A complete information for the procedure must be carried out, must be told to the patient. These are the examples of various consent forms. The consent must be essential as laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court. Central government has issued certain guidelines in order to protect the doctors from unnecessary and frivolous criminal prosecution. Guidelines issued to police in regard to investigate complaints against doctors in government service of commission or omission and the medical care of a patient in government hospital and dispensaries. It is not that a simple inspector can lay out or arrest you. It has been laid down that minimum of a superintendent of police and district medical officer has to be into it to take cognizance of the offense. Another case which came up was Lisi Hospital versus Ajay Kumar. For a gingival swelling, the patient went to the hospital, gave the history of penicillin sensitivity, and was initially given Bresteclin. But during the course of his treatment, he was given a Pentet or a form of penicillin and collapsed immediately. The defense case was no history taken, but it was not recorded on the history sheet. It was held by the court that as the plaintiff was educated and there was no reason given the history, and not recorded does not mean no history. Therefore, the case was allowed. Another case, a very important case of Emlappa was Dr. Hegde. Patient was undergoing RCT treatment and the reamer slipped into the throat, which was removed by the nearby hospital from the intestine. The dentist contended that patient was asked not to swallow, but he did. Further, not a consumer, as only a registration fees was taken for that particular patient. It was held that various items in the receipt reflects that charges were being taken and not all patients are treated free. Hence, complainant was a consumer case of res ipsa loquita. Another case, a child reported to a periodontic clinic for extractions of teeth. This was a very famous case which came up across, and it was that a general anesthesia was administered during the conscious sedation, but patient developed complications and died. Then the dental council came out with the various guidelines to deal with these kind of cases, and anesthetist has become essential for conscious sedation. Another case of Indian Medical Association versus Santha. Again, it's relied with the free service was excluded and token registration would not alter the position. A hospital where charges are required to be paid by the persons who are in position to pay and persons who cannot afford to pay are rendered free service fall within the ambit of this act. It applies to government hospitals and doctors jointly or severally. Even if the fees is paid by the insurance company or employer on behalf of the patient, it is not a free service. Therefore, in short, the medical services or insurance are covered for the liability. In another case, the heavy fine in a gynae case, the doctors opposed the heavy fines, but The basic thing is that we should try to solve the problem at earliest and do not go for prolongment of our litigation cases. Best defense against all lawsuits should be to prevent it at the birth stage itself. Dear friends, this information is not intended as a substitute for a legal advice. I am not basically a lawyer. You should familiarize yourself with local laws pending or which are relevant in that particular community, the jurisdiction, and especially your patients. Seek opinion immediately if you get a claim against you. A surgeon with shaky hands under fear of legal action cannot perform a successful operation. An a quivering physician cannot administer the end dose of medicine to his patient. Thank you very much for interacting with me on this very important topic of legal industry. Thank you very much.